Hello and welcome to The World Today. I'm Temitope Fagbemi. We're starting today's program in Africa, precisely in Kenya, where the President Uhuru Kenyatta has declared an all-out war against Islamist group Al-Shabaab after the militant sect massacred 36 Christians in the Kenyan city of Mandera. He also announced that Police Chief David Kimayo is resigning from his position, while Interior Minister Joseph Olulenku has been sacked. Reports say Al-Shabaab militants attacked workers at an excavation site, separated Christians from Muslims, and then shot the non-Muslims dead. 4 of the victims were beheaded. Witnesses say the victims were caught after midnight while sleeping in their tents at the excavation site.
Kenya's government confirmed 36 people were killed and cited survivors saying about 20 attackers were involved.
Innocent Kenyan lives have been lost in a most harrowing manner to these animals. Too many lives, too painfully snuffed out. Again, I extend condolences to the families of all Kenyans who have lost their lives in the hands of terrorists. My government continues to extend support to you, and we pray that God gives you his divine solace and comforts each of you in this painful moment.
As with past attacks, Al-Shabaab militants said they were punishing Kenya for sending troops to join African peacekeepers battling the Islamists in Somalia. In a statement, it put the death toll at 40 people and called them Kenyan crusaders.
We will not flinch or relent in the war against terrorism in our country and our region. We shall continue to inflict painful casualties on these terrorists until we secure our country and region. Our stability and prosperity depends on a secure neighborhood, and this is our commitment.
Critics, however, say President Uhuru Kenyatta has not done enough to secure the nation since Al-Shabaab gunmen attacked Nairobi's Westgate shopping mall last year, an assault that left 67 people dead. Opponents of the government say the presence of Kenyan troops in Somalia has not protected Kenya, and so they should be withdrawn. Since the Westgate attack, Kenya has suffered from a string of gun and bomb attacks on the coast, in the capital, Nairobi, and along the long and porous northern border with Somalia. News of the Korea attack sent the Kenyan shilling lower against the dollar early on Tuesday. The currency has been under pressure in part because tourism, a major source of foreign exchange, has been battered by the spate of attacks.
Away from Kenya, but still in Africa, the World Bank has revised downwards its 2014 GDP growth projections for the 3 nations worst hit by the current Ebola outbreak, the Liberia, Sierra Leone and Guinea. Its report comes as Bank President Kim Yong-kim begins a 2-day visit to West Africa to assess the impact. The World Health Organization says 5,987 people have died from Ebola in the 3 nations.
The World Health Organization says the short-term target set for Ebola control in West Africa has been basically met, but more effort is needed to fight the epidemic. The United Nations established a special mission for Ebola emergency response in October and set a target of isolating and treating 70% of Ebola patients and safely burying 70% of victims in the worst-hit countries of Liberia, Sierra Leone and Guinea by December 1st.
The big question of 2 months ago, and that was, can you close that yawning gap between the amount of disease and the response capacity? I believe that's been answered definitively. When the international and the national and the community level will is there and the investments are there, very definitely you can catch up with Ebola even on this scale.
Dr. Aylward stressed epidemic hotspots still exist in the 3 countries, especially in Sierra Leone, where the number of new Ebola cases remain high.
We have got foreign medical teams covering almost all now of the actual ETUs that are either built or planned in the system. And again, this is a very different place than we were some months ago. So it's thank you. What do we need going forward? Fully funded response to be able to put all the pieces in place, and we don't have that yet. And also fully staffed. We do need additional internationals to be able to assist at the county district levels.
Meanwhile, the UN says that Sierra Leone is making progress in treating Ebola patients. Both Guinea and Liberia have met targets, but in Sierra Leone, it is a mixed picture.
Numbers of people newly infected with Ebola still vary greatly each day, slowing down in some districts and increasing in others.
Anthony Bambry, who heads the UN's Ebola Emergency Response Mission, says there are signs of hope.
We're far away from being out of the woods, but there has been remarkable results achieved in the past 60 days.
More than $1 billion have been invested to combat the epidemic. Medical staff from countries including China, the United States, Britain and Cuba are working on the front line in the African countries affected.
In the meantime, dozens of British music stars have come together to record a new version of the song Do They Know It's Christmas to raise money for the fight against Ebola. But as the Voice of America's Henry Ridgewell reports, the song has not been universally welcomed in Africa, where local music stars have recorded their own Ebola single.
30 years ago, British musician Bob Geldof brought together dozens of stars under the name Band Aid. Their song, Do They Know It's Christmas, raised $11 million for victims of the Ethiopian famine. Now he's done it again. A new generation of musicians, plus a few old faces, have recorded a reworked version of the same song to raise money for the fight against Ebola. Geldof says the international community has not given nearly enough to fight the disease.
They need 20 times that. So this record is an attempt to try and bridge that. So we need to push it. So we're doing Band Aid Germany, Band Aid France.
The song has topped the charts in Britain. Editor of music magazine NME.com, Greg Cochran, says 3 decades on, the song could reach millions more people.
The way we consume music has changed dramatically. So, you know, obviously, this version of Band Aid is going to be available on a few different formats.
But the Band Aid 30 release has not been universally welcomed in Africa. Ethiopian music teacher Ezra Ababate says the title, Do They Know It's Christmas, is patronizing.
The Ethiopians have accepted Christianity in the first century. You know, we know it is Christmas. But the thing is, you know, as I said, is labeling the entire Africa like a country, it's a very bad expression. Africa is a continent, it's not a country.
Several African stars, including Salif Keita and Mori Kante, have come together under the group name 3D Family to record an alternative fundraising song titled Africa Stop Ebola. All proceeds go to the charity Doctors Without Borders. Sung in French and local languages, it urges people to go to a doctor if they are ill and warns them to avoid touching dead bodies. Among the artists on the track is Senegalese rapper Didier Awadi, who also criticised Band Aid 30.
Anytime we have a problem in Africa, Bob Geldof, I'm the angel coming to help the Africans.
Medical experts say the disease has spread so quickly in West Africa because people lack information about how to fight the disease. Music might change that, says Guinean singer Mori Kante, who also appears on Africa Stop Ebola.
I think that art and culture is the shortest route to communicate with these villagers so that they understand the importance of being able to avoid this scourge.
De pouvoir éviter ce fléau.
It's hoped both music tracks will raise money and raise awareness of the disease.
We let in light and we banish shade.
As the world marks the World's AIDS Day, a major scientific research says HIV is evolving to become less deadly and less infectious. The study by the science team at the University of Oxford in London shows the virus has been watered down as it adapts to the human immune system. The report says it has taken longer for HIV infections to cause AIDS and that the changes in the virus may help efforts to contain the pandemic. Some virologists suggest the virus may eventually become almost harmless as it continues to evolve. To Egypt now, the public prosecutor says he has appealed against a court decision to drop charges against former President Hosni Mubarak, his interior minister, and 6 aides over the killing of protesters in the 2011 uprising. 86-year-old Mubarak was sentenced to life in prison in 2012 for conspiring to murder 239 demonstrators during an 18-day revolt that ended his 30-year rule, but an appeals court ordered a retrial. Last Saturday, the court dropped its case against Mubarak, igniting angry protests in Cairo, in which 2 people sadly were killed. The judge in the case said criminal charges should never have been brought against the former ruler. Such an appeal is an integral part of the legal process in Egypt and had been expected. The appeals court must now decide whether to accept the appeal and order a retrial or to reject it, thereby upholding the decision to drop the criminal charges against Mubarak. If the former leader is retried in the case, it will be for the 3rd and final time under Egyptian law. Coming up after the break, Lebanon detains the wife and son of Islamic State leader Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. Please stay with us.